Today I'm talking Starfire issue number 2. I'm talking savage action in a world of blades and blood. It's another Bronze Age gem from DC Comics coming at you right now. As usual, I will start the video by showing the indicia. This is Starfire Volume 1, Number 2, October-November 1976. It was published bi-monthly. And for the creator credits, we have David Michelinie returning as writer, Mike Vosberg returns on pencils, Vince Colletta takes over on inks, Liz Berube the colorist, and Joe Orlando continuing as editor. The story begins at the gate of Lortnan Manor, where a patrol of Mygorgs is threatening a boy named Kierce. Or Curse. Maybe I'll just call him Curse. His father pleads with the patrol commander for mercy, but the commander says, "Silence! Your son was caught participating in forbidden activities, and he must pay." We then see a word balloon of a voice from off-panel saying, "Aye, monster, there will be payment aplenty this night, only it will all be made by you." And so begins issue 2 of Starfire in a story entitled The Siege of Lortnan Manor. I'm going to read Michelinie's narration here because it's really dramatic and pretty darn good. Like living nightmares, they spring from the shadows, a band of fierce and tattered rebels recently freed from the distant dungeons of a conqueror's castle, and led by the savage swordswoman who was once slave to those hideous Mygorg rulers, Starfire, whose only resolve is to bring the taste of her newfound freedom to others on a blade of razored steel. Her dagger finds a new home in the patrol leader's chest. She swiftly dodges the sword of another Mygorg, then buries her own into him as well. The battle rages. Mygorg bodies fall from the bridge outside Lortnan Manor, but the rebels are victorious. Starfire introduces herself and explains that she and her companions were seeking shelter and provisions and were drawn to the lights of Lortnan Manor. The father, rather than being grateful to Starfire and her group for rescuing his son, is incensed, and he refers to them as meddlesome ruffians. I sense that perhaps there is a story behind the father's reaction. Starfire and her men enjoy a fine meal, and we see that the lord of the manor, Lortnan, is pacing and still visibly upset. He says, "Fools! You still don't understand what you've done, do you? Don't you realize that we humans are no more than insects to the Mygorg, to be ignored until needed to fight their wars or till their fields? Most of the time we're left to our own devices, governed by Mygorg-appointed magistrates like myself, with security patrols sent around only sporadically to see that things keep running smoothly. Those soldiers you slaughtered were from just such a patrol. They caught Curse reading books, an activity forbidden to humans, but a minor offense a man in my position could have settled peaceably in time. Only you had to come along and kill the soldiers." Starfire asks, "Can't we just bury the corpses?" At that moment, a Mygorg spear pierces the darkness and the chest of a Lortnan guard. Velg explains, "Those soldiers weren't the entire patrol, they were merely the advance guard." And in the middle panel of the page, we see another group of Mygorgs has massed outside the manor. Without hesitation, Starfire and her men engage in battle once more. Once more, the harsh clamor of battle rings out over the night-dark countryside. Once more, the question of life or death is settled with a quick thrust of stone-forged steel. While amidst the thickest of the fray, A raven-haired swordstress wields her blade like a hell-sent scythe, slicing through the scaly-skinned attackers like a frenzied reaper of souls. Wow, that is some great writing. I love that. I also want to point out this panel where Starfire is entering the fray. She looks like a nightmare, like something out of Tomb of Dracula, like a Gene Cole and Tom Palmer style of art, and it goes so well with the narration on this page. Wonderful. Back to the story now, and we see that Starfire and her men have beaten back the latest Mygorg attack, and we can see just how close they are camped to Lortnan Manor. And we're introduced to the Mygorg leader, and his name is Kavarj. And he looks to be a battle-scarred veteran. You can see a scar above his right eye. His right eye is missing, in fact. He has a patch with a skull on it, covering the right eye. Meanwhile, back at Lortnan Manor, Curse is calling out his dad, and he says, all you do is sit here and accept this oppression. And he explains, yeah, but I do, but for a reason. We're alive, Curse. Alive and together. Your mother was killed when the Mygorg first came, and now you are all I have left. Can't you see I only do what I think best for you? I'd do anything. Apparently, anything includes betraying your fellow humans. Curse says, yeah, you'll do anything but be a man, is that it? Well, I'm sorry, Father, I still love you, but I have to do what I think is right. We now cut to Starfire and her lieutenant, Thrumdog. Thrumdog's putting the moves on Starfire here. And she's having none of that. There's a very nice sequence of panels at the bottom of the page where Starfire is playing along, but in the meantime, her foot is reaching back behind Thrumdog's knee, throws him off balance, and then she flips him over her shoulder. So along comes Curse, and he's decided he wants to join the rebels. He admits he has little experience in swordsmanship, but he does have something to offer, and it's a map. He says, this map I found in the ruins of a temple. It's said to lead to the legendary Lightning Lords. You see, the Mygorg disdain all conflict other than personal combat. So when they took over the world, they destroyed all weapons that weren't powered solely by the user. And we see an inset panel of Mygorgs throwing some, looks like laser rifles into a teleportation machine. It looks like the portal we saw in issue number 1, where the warrior priests were summoning the Mygorgs. Curse continues, but it's said that the Lightning Lords somehow retained some of the old weapons, arms that could be used against the Mygorg. If you'll take me with you, I'll use my map to lead you to the Lightning Lord's sanctuary. Starfire responds, you've no need for bribes, Curse Lortnan. The longing for freedom in your heart is enough. Welcome. Let's check back in with Kavarj and the Mygorg army and see what they're up to. So they're opening a crate and pulling on some ropes that look to be attached to something inside the crate. Kavarj is looking on and he says, it's time we showed that human scum the reward for defiance. The next panel, we see a human look out, and he's pointing to the sky with this shocked expression on his face, and he and his companion are zapped by some energy beam. Energy beams that are in fact coming from the eyes of a pterodactyl-looking creature. Kavarj leads the assault on Lortnan Manor astride this prehistoric winged beast. It's kind of ridiculous. Starfire is attacking with her sword. but the hide is too thick and the sword cannot pierce it. She gets smacked down to the ground by one of the wings, and she quickly comes up with a plan. Now look at this Mike Vosberg drawing of her lying on the ground. He draws beautiful women. Bravo, Mike Vosberg. Starfire gets back on her feet, finds a coil of rope, and then I don't know how she does, she defies the laws of physics by throwing the metal end like a boomerang around a pillar, and this doesn't make sense. Starfire, defying the laws of physics in a world of swords and science. Yeah, okay. Next page. Starfire puts her plan into action, lassoing one of the feet of the pterodactyl creature. The creature panics and continues flying and ends up flying in circles around the column. The rope's getting shorter, so the creature's getting closer and closer to the spikes that stick out from the spire, causing Kavarj to become impaled on one of those spikes, which kills him instantly. It injures the creature. I love the panel of Kavarj hanging there, the shadow. Somehow the rope breaks, not explained how, but the creature's now free, flying around, shooting eye beams all over the place. And we're treated to another nice action sequence of panels by Mike Vosberg, showing Starfire fooling the creature into following her, and zapping the Mygorg invaders. It seems a little far-fetched, but it is excellent storyboarding from Mr. Vosberg. Alright, in the background we see the creature has fallen to the ground as a result of its injury colliding with the spire. Starfire shouting to her companions that they need to get while the getting's good. The Mygorgs are distracted with the dying creature and whatnot. Curse makes the decision that he needs to find his father and try to convince him to come along. Otherwise, he's going to face certain death. You know, the Mygorgs are going to exact their revenge on him. He hands his map to Starfire and he heads off to find his father. Lortnan has decided that he's going to kill himself some rebels to prove to the Mygorgs that he is still in allegiance with them. He's loading up his favorite crossbow. He thinks to himself, I know it means murdering my own kind. Yeah. Okay, Velg, nice one. He senses someone in the shadows. He says, it's one of the rebels. I mustn't falter. For Curse's sake, I must do it now. And he fires a bolt from the crossbow, hitting his own son. Apparently getting shot with a crossbow turns blonde hair red. The battle is over. The contest is done. And once more, as on countless battlefields throughout time, be they of blood-caked earth or the gentler fabric of the human soul, fear is the only true victor. Lortnan weeps as he holds his dying son. Hours later, Starfire and her group have come to the realization that the boy is not going to show. And they take the map that he gave them, and they continue on with a new goal, to find the fabled lightning lords. Coming up in the next issue, Starfire finds a new ally in the arena of the Frost Dragon. Okay, that concludes issue number 2. I have to say that this issue is a little bit of a letdown compared to issue number 1. That I thought issue number 1 was really strong, and this one was so-so. In particular, I didn't really care for the pterodactyl creature or the whole fighting sequence and the breaking of the law of physics. Well, I know it's comic books, but I like what I like, and I don't like what I don't like. Let me know what you think in the comments. I found the fact that Velg accidentally killed his son at the end was an interesting twist. We also have the introduction of the Lightning Lords in this issue, which promises to be a major storyline down the road. I don't particularly care for the name Lightning Lords. It sounds cheesy to me. One thing that surprised me that I find a bit jarring is the way that Starfire has become such a strong leader of this group of rebels in such a short time. Perhaps that's just part of who she is. But okay, let's take another look at this cover. This was drawn by Jose Luis Garcia Lopez and Vince Colletta. It's a gorgeous, gorgeous depiction of Starfire from two comic book legends. All right, let's move on to handing out some awards. Favorite panel was a bit tough for me because I saw some really nice pictures like this portrait, gorgeous portrait of Starfire. This great picture of her attacking, and this one of her lying on the ground. Ultimately, I chose to go with this sequence of panels for the dynamic Vosberg artwork and storytelling. Is pretty humorous. Least favorite panel. What happened here to her face here? The body looks great. I have a feeling that the face, there was some sort of miscommunication with the inking, between penciling and inking. I don't know. Maybe someone who would know more about that process could leave a comment and tell me what they think. So we'll take a look at the editorial page now, which will become the letters page in the future. And we see that there's a special announcement on this page. It says, beginning with the next issue, you'll find some changes on the writing of Starfire's adventures, with the able Elliot S. Maggin, veteran of Superman and Green Arrow, among others, taking over from where David Michelinie left off. David's moving on to other projects here at DC, but he's left Elliot much to build upon. Elliot's fertile mind will certainly weave wonders of his own in the weird world of Starfire. In fact, in the very next issue, Elliot Maggin, Mike Vosberg, and Vince Colletta show us how Starfire and her band must enter the arena of the Frost Dragon, where they encounter a giant human, an entire arena of mad Mygorgs, and a few new fighting friends. Sounds like fun. I'm looking forward to it. I hope you are too. So thanks for joining me for the past few minutes. I appreciate your time. I hope that you found some value in this and that you will do me a favor and like and subscribe and leave a comment, do all that good stuff. So until next time, remember, don't go firing your crossbow at shadowy figures, and comic on, my friends.